Herbes de Provence is a French blend of herbs that includes thyme, basil, rosemary, tarragon, savory, marjoram, oregano, bay leaf, and a touch of lavender is added to the North American products. All these herbs are strong and combine to form a beautiful, aromatic, and complex flavorful spice. Herbes de Provence can be used with any meat or fish, and tonight I'm making a delicious one-pan chicken meal. I have 5 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs that I cleaned, trimmed, and dried. I'm seasoning both sides with salt and black pepper and a sprinkle of herbes de Provence. In my oven-proof skillet on medium-high heat, I'm adding in about a 1/4 cup of oil to coat the bottom. I'm using vegetable oil. Laying in the chicken skin side down and letting them cook for 3 to 4 minutes or until the skin forms a nice golden crust and releases easily from the pan. Flip the chicken over and let it cook for another 2 minutes and then remove from the pan and set to the side. In the same pan on medium heat, I have a couple tablespoons of chicken fat left on the bottom, and I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of butter, 1 small diced sweet onion, and 3 cloves of minced garlic, cooking and stirring for a minute. This is 3 tablespoons of flour, cooking and stirring until the flour is incorporated. The flour is going to help keep the sauce thickened or tight as the chicken and vegetables cook. I think what really pairs well with herbes de Provence is white wine. Combined, they both add a richness and comfort to this chicken dinner. Adding in a 1/3 cup of white wine and 1 cup of chicken broth. Giving that a good stir, making sure they get all the tidbits up off the bottom and bringing up to a simmer. You can see the sauce thicken. Adding in 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard and stirring. Seasoning with salt and black pepper, 1 teaspoon of herbes de Provence, and 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. Giving that a good stir and turning off my heat. I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This is 4 medium peeled and cubed russet potatoes, and 1½ cups of mini cut carrots. You want them similar size and bite-sized pieces. Giving that a good stir to coat the vegetables. Now I'm placing in my chicken skin side up. Covering, and the chicken is going in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes or until the chicken is done and the potatoes and carrots are tender. I like the internal temp of the chicken to be 190 to 200, which is fall off the bone tender. The herbes de Provence chicken is done and the kitchen smells wonderful. Garnishing with a little parsley. Removing the chicken, tenting, and letting it rest for 10 to 15 minutes before we eat. You can see a nice thickened gravy is formed, and it's flavored with all the spices, chicken, and vegetables. Serving tonight with some peas. A nice piece of homemade butter bread would have topped off this meal. Don't forget to spoon over some of that wonderful herbes de Provence gravy. What can I say? This chicken meal is unforgettable, full of flavor. Your friends and your family will love you. I hope you give this herbes de Provence chicken recipe a try and enjoy. Cabbage is so affordable, and you can make a hearty, good meal along with a few other ingredients. In my skillet on medium heat, I'm adding in a couple tablespoons of oil and 2 strips of bacon. I added the oil because I'm using beef bacon and it is lean. Adding in 1 pound of smoked beef sausage, and you can use any smoked sausage that you like. Cooking and stirring for 5 to 7 minutes or until the bacon is crispy and the sausage browned, and then removing from the pan. I still have my heat on medium, and I'm adding in 3 tablespoons of butter and 1 large diced sweet onion and a 1/4 teaspoon each of salt and black pepper, cooking and stirring for a couple minutes. And this is 4 to 5 cups of cabbage. It looks like a lot, and it is, but the cabbage will cook down and reduce in size. Give the cabbage and onions a good toss, cover, and cook for 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes and giving the cabbage a toss. As you can see, the cabbage released some moisture and is deglazing the pan. The cabbage is also reduced in size and is much easier to stir. For the seasonings, I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of Cajun seasoning, and you can use your favorite brand. A sprinkle more of black pepper, and I love the taste of black pepper and cabbage together. A 1/4 teaspoon each of granulated garlic and granulated onion. And for a little more flavor and color, I'm adding in 1 diced red bell pepper, giving everything a good toss. Turning my heat down to a low medium, which is around a 4 on my stove. Covering and cooking for another 4 to 5 minutes, or until the cabbage and red peppers are tender. Everybody has their likeness to how tender they like the cabbage. Some like it fall apart tender, and some like it a little crunchy. We like it somewhere in between. Once the 5 minutes is up, I'm removing the lid and letting it cook for another 2 to 3 minutes, or until most of the liquid on the bottom is absorbed. Giving the cabbage a toss and tasting for seasonings. I'm adding in another teaspoon of Cajun seasoning. The bacon and sausage is going back into the pan and giving everything a toss. Letting that cook for another couple minutes so the flavors marry together, and we are ready to eat. Now that is a plate of goodness for the dinner table right there. This Southern Cajun cabbage and sausage dinner stick to your ribs good. Serve with a dinner roll or cornbread. I hope you give this Southern Cajun cabbage and sausage recipe a try and enjoy. Lasagna is a great meal any time of the year, but really impresses family and friends during the holiday season. Filled with noodles, meat sauce, and of course all kinds of cheesy goodness. This is my classic Italian lasagna recipe, and it will feed a lot of hungry people. I'm starting by making the meat sauce. I have 1 pound of Italian sausage and 1 pound of ground beef. You can use sweet or hot sausage, or you can use all ground beef. Cooking, chopping, and stirring for about 8 to 10 minutes, or until the meat is no longer pink and in small pieces. Adding in 1 large finely diced onion, about 6 cloves of minced garlic, and a pinch of salt and black pepper. Cooking and stirring for about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm adding in a total of 1½ cans of tomato paste, and these are 6-ounce cans. This will help thicken the sauce and add a lot of concentrated tomato flavor. By sautéing the tomato paste before adding any liquid, it will really enhance the flavor of this sauce. Now I'm adding in 1 28-ounce can each of crushed tomatoes and tomato sauce, giving that a good stir and turning up my heat to bring this up to a simmer. For the spices, I have a 1/2 cup of fresh chopped parsley, 2 teaspoons of Italian seasonings, 2 teaspoons of oregano, and 1 teaspoon of fennel seed. The fennel seed will mimic the spices in the Italian sausage, and it adds a lot of flavor. If you wish, you could also add a little sugar to counter the acidity of the tomatoes. For the festive season, I almost forgot, I have a half a cup of red wine. This will add another depth of flavor. Another good stir, bringing up to a low simmer, covering and cooking for at least an hour to develop all those flavors. Occasionally I'll give it a stir. About 15 minutes before the sauce is done, I'm adding in another teaspoon of Italian seasonings and a teaspoon of garlic powder for a boost and freshness and flavor. This meat sauce is great to make in the crock pot or make ahead of time. Then when the day comes to make the lasagna, you have this timely step already done. Now for the ricotta cheese mixture. I have one 30-ounce container of ricotta cheese. You can use Parmesan or Parmesan Reggiano cheese, or tonight I'm also using some grated Romano cheese. The more cheese, the better. Adding in the 1/4 cup of grated Romano cheese, a half a cup of grated mozzarella cheese, 1 large egg, a 1/4 cup of fresh chopped parsley, and a sprinkle of salt, giving that a good mix and refrigerating until I'm ready. I par-cooked the lasagna noodles for about 3 minutes to make them pliable. The lasagna will be baking for an hour, so the noodles will finish cooking in the oven. And now we are ready to put the lasagna together, and to me this is the fun part. In a deep baking dish, I'm adding some spoonfuls of that wonderful sauce to the bottom so the noodles won't stick. There are 18 sheets of lasagna noodles to a package, so I will have 3 rows of 6 noodles. This is half of my ricotta cheese mixture. I'm just putting some spoonfuls and leveling out as best I can. Sprinkling with some grated Parmesan cheese and a little mozzarella cheese. This is more of the meat sauce, and don't make the layers too thick. Another layer of lasagna noodles. This is the second half of my ricotta cheese mixture. A sprinkle of Parmesan, Romano, and mozzarella cheese this time. Another layer of that delicious meat sauce. And a final layer of the noodles and meat sauce. Finally, sprinkling with some Romano cheese. Covering with parchment paper and foil. This lasagna is going into a 375-degree preheated oven for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is up and the kitchen is smelling fabulous. Of course, we have to top it off with more mozzarella cheese. Baking uncovered for an additional 20 to 25 minutes. My entire family smells the lasagna and they want to dig in. But you have to be patient. Let the lasagna rest for a good 20 minutes so the cheese sets and the pieces don't fall apart when serving. It will be worth the wait, trust me. What can I say? This homemade classic Italian lasagna is the bomb. It will feed a lot of family and friends, and it freezes really nicely as well. Serve with some garlic bread and a side salad, and maybe a glass of wine. I hope you give my homemade classic Italian lasagna a try, and enjoy. Happy holidays! If you like this video recipe, please hit the like and subscribe button. Remember to hit the bell next to the subscribe to make sure that you get my future video recipes. You can also find me on Facebook and at my website. Feel free to share this recipe and my channel with your friends and family. And until next time, much love!